Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first live stream on Rotted Entertainment. So, this is going to be a bit of a trip, and I don't know what this is going to look like. Yeah. I apologize that this has come so late. This has been a weird situation of a little bit of eyes bigger than my stomach, a little bit of bitten off more than I can chew in terms of everything going on. With the channel transitions, we're doing renovations on the home. I'm still working on the health thing. It's just been a lot. So the first week, about 2 weeks ago, I had planned and scheduled the first live stream on Rotted Entertainment. And it was a good idea. And unfortunately, the morning of, I go ahead and I start working as I typically would do before a live stream and get the thumbnail ready and actually go into the scheduling and so forth. And this was the first time doing this on Rotted Entertainment, this particular channel. And that didn't turn out, because as soon as I went to schedule it, it said, "Congratulations, you are now eligible 24 hours from now to actually go into live stream," despite the fact that I had already undergone everything I needed to verify the channel and go through all the checks and security measures. I guess live streaming was its own various other aspect. So there was a cool down period. And then I was supposed to have it last week, and then stuff with the renovation got in the way. And anyway, here we are now, and I'm going to stop apologizing because that is just who I am, and it'll just never end if I go down that road. So, hey, Chet, welcome. Let's see. The current bit rate is lower than the recommended bit rate. They use a student bit rate of 6,800. I wonder if I can change that on the fly. Probably not, but hey, let's see. We'll go ahead and tinker. 6,800 bit rate. I'll try that. Oh, maybe I can't do it on the fly. We'll see if that error goes away. Thank you. Glad the video looks great. I'm so jazzed about this new camera. I've been going out into the field with it and putting it through its paces, and that's another aspect of biting off more than I can chew. Stomach bigger than, or eyes bigger than my stomach, is this one particular video that I've been working on. It has just continued escalating in scope, and frankly, it's escalated in scope past the point of any talent of mine. So, I have these ideas for getting shots and so forth, and just recently, my wife and I went to a bar specifically so that I could shoot a scene in the bar. And I'm trying to provide direction. It's nobody that I'm paying. My wife has never really held a video camera with choreography before, any kind of she's not a cinematographer. She takes snapshots on her phone. So I'm trying to coordinate all of this. And same thing last week. I recorded myself. I crafted a custom saw trap for myself and filmed it down in my basement. And I finished like an 80% rough cut of editing. And, it's just the same thing. Like what I have pictured in my brain for how I want the shots to look, it's tough to kind of realize that and bring it to fruition. And I'm really hoping this video actually turns out at the very least coherent. It's just so far beyond my comfort zone and anything I've ever done before. And I don't think I'm going to get it done this month. There's just been like too many curveballs thrown my way. But I'm going to do my damnedest, and we'll just have to see how it goes. I do have 2 other videos recorded waiting to be edited and released. So I may go ahead and just shift priorities, focus on one. Oh, she said she'd buy the one that didn't fit. I am actually donating that to a local haunted house. I reached out. It's a haunted house that all the proceeds go to charity, and I was reaching out to them. I'm like, could your actors use that? And he was just super jazzed about it. So yeah, I still got to drop that off, but that's already been claimed, but yeah, I thought about I thought about opening an Etsy shop, but honestly, the price of the filament to print it, the paint to do, and then the amount of hours it took in labor. I mean, I would have to sell a trap for, God, like $300 in order to actually like make anything off of it. Just, like with the time investment, just raw material investment. I mean, I think it probably cost me, close to, I would say like $80 to $120 to print and, get everything done. I mean, it's pretty much an entire spool and a half of filament, and then the paint is just ungodly expensive. But yeah, like I said, I thought about opening an Etsy shop, but there's already people on Etsy selling theirs, and honestly, they look better than mine. So, what are you going to do? Plus, I don't know if that's exactly the industry I want to be getting into. I enjoy making the props for myself. That doesn't mean I want to be like churning on them all day, every day. I actually have the next project in the works. I got plans and parts and so forth that I'm organizing to do, because I already have a proton pack. I'm going to be doing a ghost trap and the pedal, and for my birthday, my wife is getting me the, there's a company that you take 1 million measurements, and then they custom make you a Ghostbusters jumpsuit. That's going to be my birthday present. So yeah, I have the proton pack. I want to do some modifications to it, but in the meantime, I'm going to be building my own custom ghost trap and pedal that is supposed to work with like the servos, the electronics, like everything is supposed to work on it. The only thing I'm not doing that's an optional bit in this, but just sounds like it's way more of a headache than is worth, is the smoke effects. That the glycerin that creates the smoke just winds up over time gumming everything up, and it's a pain in the butt to begin with. And from what I understand, it's just like the most problematic aspect. So, I mean, I'd be fine if it just makes sounds, make lights, and opens the trap doors when I press the pedal. So that's my next project. So yeah, I mean, it's just been a lot going on, and the construction on the house has been super exciting. It's been awesome watching it happen, but it has thrown a monkey wrench in every aspect of my professional life, with my job, with my channel, with everything. Like, I have to work around it. Everybody, the crew comes at 7 a.m. So I'm waking up at 4:15 and going out for my morning run by 5 o'clock, so I can be showered, dressed, and ready by the time the construction crew gets here in the morning. It's been a lot, but it's been good though. And I like I said, I do have 2 videos recorded, and if I focus, shift priorities, focus on editing one of them, then I should be able to release another video before this month is out. So soft goal right there. Why don't we go ahead, and I just have still a ton of queued up AMA questions. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has in the chat. Like I said, I don't know what this live stream is even going to look like. This is the first one I've done on Rod Entertainment. It's like I don't have. Hey, Tanner, welcome. Thank you for popping in. That's hi. So yeah, I mean, this is not the channel where I have 7,000 subs or close to it that are going to be notified of a live stream. So it could be I get 2 viewers, and that's perfectly all right. But in the meantime, feel free to ask any questions. I'll be happy to answer anything in chat. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and start plowing through some of these AMA questions, because I got a ton of them. So here we go. Oh, I need to change that center logo. What would be your first 5 orders of business? I think I've answered this one. No, I answered one similar. I get asked, a very similar question to this quite a bit. There's this recurring running joke that I think is only like half a joke, but Ben, if you start joining in, frequent viewers of my channel have been saying for a couple years now of Mike for president. I'm honored, I'm flattered, but no, I would be terrible at that. But yeah, so what would my first 5 orders as president be? It would, like I said, I've answered a similar question to this one before, but generally, the whole notion that the first things I would do would be to establish limitations on my power, because I firmly believe in the power of a self-regulating government. That, and I mean, this is just me speaking from the heart. I really believe that every branch of the government should have oversight over the others, and no one should be above the law, and everybody should have accountability. And I think over time, and this is not, related necessarily just to the last 6 years. I've witnessed this in the many decades I've been on the planet, that we have been having more and more power go to the executive branch, while the legislative branch winds up getting not necessarily less power, but more embroiled in gridlock, and then goes nowhere. But really, what we need the balances. We need the checks and balances in place, and we've been eroding that. And it's the principle that we don't give power to a person, we give it to the chair they sit in. And if something sounds like a good idea to give power because we happen to like who's sitting in that chair, well, that's going to be very fucking problematic later on down the road when somebody else is sitting in that chair. The principles of checks and balances need to stand, because anybody could be sitting in that chair and they need oversight. So that would be something that I would do, is I would start tying my hands behind my back. I would start stymieing myself. I would limit my own power. And I would, start to work on the process, be it potentially, more term limits, judicial oversight of even justices, things like that, to establish a more regulatory system of checks and balances that has self-regulating, self-governing oversight that is a little bit less prone to party politics. So whatever those 5 items would be, those would be my biggest priorities, is to just reestablish balance of power and oversight. So, okay, on to the next question. Why squirrels? Because they're fuzzy and cute. They are seriously some of the cutest little turds in the world. I love squirrels. There's a big part of me, the foolish part of me, that would love to come across a baby squirrel and nurse it to health, and raise it so that it is bonded to me. And I walk around with a squirrel in the hood of my sweatshirt, and I know that's a bad idea, and I know that it's an irresponsible idea, and I know that they belong in the wild, and if, barring that, in a wildlife sanctuary. If I were to actually come across a baby squirrel, that's actually what would happen. I would hand it over to a wildlife sanctuary. But why squirrels? Squirrels are one of the things that don't need a why, unless you're trying to keep them out of your bird feeder or your garden. Squirrels do just fine on their own. I love, in the fall, walking around the park, or, where I work at the university, and just the quad and so forth. And not only are there just a bunch of squirrels around that are preparing for winter, but they're preparing for winter in the way that there's a bunch of squirrels and they are super fat. And it is just the most adorable thing to watch them just waddling around as fast as they possibly can, trying to clamber up trees. I love squirrels. You know what, Chet? That's a good point. Squirrels have better PR than rats. Oh yeah, the raccoon thing. That's where that's from. The last panel of the raccoon series of Calvin and Hobbes. Yeah, I love rats too. I've had pet rats. They are a legitimately wonderful pet. They are smart. They are clean. Some people have issues with the tail. That's fine. Everybody's entitled, has their own thing. But if you can get past that point with the tail, they are some of the best pets you can ever own. Gerbils, they'll just, like roll over and bite you. Same with hamsters. Guinea pigs are fun. Chinchillas are a big pain. Rats are just awesome. Love rats. Highly advocate. Especially if you can get them, young, weaned but young, so that they can get used to the human interaction and being handled and so forth. They just so friendly. The first rat I ever owned, I would just, sit and watch TV or be on my computer, and he would just be perched on my shoulder for hours, just hanging out with me. His name was Sniffles. Sniffles. Okay. Where do you do your best problem solving? That's a good question. One of two places, either right here, because this chair is, I hate to say it, a huge portion of my life. Whether I'm working on the channel, talking to the camera, editing my videos, or working in a professional sense because I work from home, I'm in this chair. So if I'm solving a problem, it's probably going to be right here. But if I come across a problem that I can't solve, or I'm just beating my head against the wall on, and I'm just not getting anywhere with it, I can't focus, something is blocking me, then what I found is the shower the next day. I will purposefully stop myself from thinking about it. I will turn the computer off. I will check out for the day, not just on the timesheet, but also in my brain. I will force myself to stop thinking about it. I will put on movies. I will put on TV shows. I will distract myself, and I will get a good night's sleep, because that's important. And then I will wake up the next morning, and I will continue not thinking about it. And then I will take my shower. And it is amazing how often in the shower, just all of a sudden the solution pops into my brain. Like, wait, I haven't tried that. Of course. It's like, just not thinking about it allows your brain the room to breathe and step away from the problem. And then, just getting in the shower is just like, it's my time to just churn on the day. What do I have coming up? What's going on? If I'm recording a video, like, what's my hook? What's my angle? How am I going to approach this? How am I going to solve this problem? I'm going to solve this problem. And then, boom. The problem that I wasn't even trying to think of, all of a sudden a solution will pop in. I love the shower the next day. But that is the key, is I try to force myself to stop thinking about it. And it's a little bit of a paradox, but at the same time, it's not. Just not actively not thinking about it, but purposefully putting on distractions until finally it's like, oh, I haven't been thinking about it. Then all of a sudden, it clicks. All right. Where would you move to? I would move to... I would move to one of two places, I think. Either a major city in Canada. I'm thinking, Ottawa, possibly Toronto, or Glasgow. I don't want to move necessarily. I do want to visit those places, most assuredly. I got my passport finally at the tender age of 43. I finally got my passport, finally stepped up on the responsibility level. But no, I mean, I don't want to move. I love where I am. I love the house that I live in. I love my job, and I know that I work remotely, but I do think that there's a limit to that. I can't exactly, haul off to Singapore and expect to still be as functional in my 9 to 5. So no, I mean, I'm not looking to live anywhere else. But if I had to, I think it's not, it's not that I want to leave the United States behind. I love America, but I want to try other places, and um, I want to try other cultures. While at the same time, I mean, I think as I'm getting older, my adventurous spirit is waning a little bit. So, something, experiencing another culture that has very deep historical roots, very strong sense of culture, while at the same time being fairly accessible. I have a very Western environment. And although I would love to experience and travel and get out of my comfort zone on that temporary level, it's not that I would necessarily want to spend 2 years living in extraordinarily different feeling place. At the very least, I'd be able to speak the language, accents notwithstanding. So yeah, I think that as far as choosing a different place to live, I would say either a metropolitan area in Canada or Scotland, just because I have familial roots in Scotland, and it's a place that really does intrigue me a fair bit. Plus, just being in the European continent kind of just puts me within a spitting distance of all the other traveling that I kind of want to do, going to Germany and Sweden and other countries, Spain, Portugal, things like that, Italy. The ability to just grab a Euro rail pass and just go nuts would be awesome. So and then there's a part of me also that as much as I love where I am and the rural nature of it, because there's a lot of positives to living in a small town in America. A lot of negatives, but a lot of positives too, and I learned to embrace them both. Um, is it true I met the half man from Game of Thrones? No, that's not true. I never met Peter Dinklage. No, I'd like to. That'd be neat, but no, I never have. Um, I am not the guy that says counterfeit Hitler autographs. No, I don't know who that is. Same name as me? Just curious. But no. And you know what? I would own up to it if I were. But no, neither of those things are attributed to me, Kev Walsh. Sorry. Yeah, neither of those. Not me. Yeah, everyone has their price. I mean, there's a certain appeal to the idea of selling counterfeit Hitler autographs. I mean, if I was going to purposefully pull the wool over anybody's eyes and scam anybody, I mean, I have no desire to. But if I was going to pull a scam on anybody, white supremacists would be pretty neat. Anyway, so I was saying, there's a lot of pros and cons to living in a rural area. But growing up as I did in more of a metropolitan area, at the very least the outskirts suburbs of a metropolitan area, and then visiting downtown quite a bit in San Diego, I miss a lot of that. I do miss a lot of the metropolitan living, urban living culture behind it. The quality museums, I mean, there's a fair bit of that I miss that I would like to not just visit as a tourist, but actually ingrain myself in again. That would be nice. So, yeah, that would be my answer on that one. Caught my dad crawling out of the stomach of a dead cow naked with a bottle of whiskey. He ran off howling into the woods. Your dad's neat. All right, let's get to another question here. Let's see. Where would you go on a one-way trip? Oh, nice. You know what? I'm actually going to just default over. I'm going to say that that's a weird one to have back to back on a random choice kind of thing. Uh, let's see. Hang on one second. How does that work? Sorry, hang on. I'm just figuring something out here. Content, live, control room, chat, and as a moderator. Merry Christmas, chat. You're a moderator. But anyway, getting back to this, I'm not gonna answer this one just because it's butted up back to back with the last question. I mean, I consider it to be a one-way trip would be where would I want to live? Like I'm going one way, I'm not coming back. That's living. So I'm just gonna remove that one and try again. Fasten zip or zip fasten? Fasten zip, hands down. I don't like the idea of trying to bring together the top part of the pants or the jacket or something like that with the pressure of the zipper. I guess it depends on how much pressure you're actually doing. Like if this is something where you're like having to really kind of sausage yourself into it, yeah, I mean, it's got to be fastened then zip. I mean, you relieve the pressure by having the tension at the button point, and then you can zip. It's a lot easier. Otherwise, I mean, if you try to zip, and even if you get it, then all of a sudden it'll back again. So yeah, fasten zip. Yeah, that one's easy. If there was a law named after you, what would it be? It would be the Stone Law. Or what would the nature of it be? What would the content of it be? Well, that's a good question. The Old Man Shovel Slayer from the Home Alone movie. I have. Turns out he's a pretty nice guy. He just salts the walks. Bend his ear. He'll give you a listen. Gives some good advice. And then you can give him good advice. And then he can reconcile with his granddaughter and his son. And everybody can have a Merry Christmas. So there's a lesson learned. So what would the nature of the Stone Law be? I don't know. That's something that I want to be able to answer these things, with genuine heart. I want to be able to not just be flippant about them. And within the context of that, I have difficulty with this one because I really consider the fact that with legislation, it is something that needs a lot of thought and care. Ramifications and consequences are far-reaching, and this is where I think having a strong level of diversity within our legislative bodies can really help. Because, I mean, I can think of everything that would be a consequence from the position that I'm sitting in and my privilege, but I can't think of, necessarily consequences, ramifications for other people that are not within my demographic. So, yeah, I'm hesitant to even throw something like that out, even flippantly. So I think it just, this is the kind of thing that really requires a fair bit of thought and care. So, based on that, it would be the Stone Law, and I don't know what else it would actually be. Let's go to another one. How would you define a utopia? Read that. Focus. There you go. Thomas More's Utopia. I mean, it's not necessarily what I would consider to be a utopia, but I think it's a pretty good groundwork, which is a fairly controversial stance considering that this is largely attributed towards one of the creative elements of the creation of communism. But aside from that, it actually has some good foundational elements. I think the problem is that utopia is going to be a consistent thing that is always out of reach as long as human nature exists. Whatever system of government, whatever system of society anybody can conjure, no matter how much oversight, how many checks and balances I had talked about earlier, no matter how much you actually put in place, human nature and the worst aspects of human nature will always find a way to try and corrupt it, oftentimes successfully. That's why, I mean, I am not necessarily, I don't have anything really against the concept of pure communism, with the caveat that we've never actually experienced that in action in the entirety of the world ever. There's always some variation of it in which a few thrive and everybody else suffers, and it's like very much not the principles of what it is. So yeah, I think this is about as good of a framework as I've ever read in personally. And but that's not to say it's perfect, because I don't think that with ironically, perfect doesn't exist as far as a utopia goes, as long as humans are a part of it. But it's not the destination, it's the journey, and always striving to collectively and individually be better tomorrow than we were today is an admirable trait. And just because I think something is out of reach doesn't mean it's not worth reaching for. Samantha and I, sorry, I'm real quick here. I'm going to get to that question, Tom, but first, we got a question here from, or a mention here from chat. Samantha and I saw Late Night with the Devil the other night. We knew next to nothing about it. I loved it. I later came across the low-level controversy about AI. I'm glad I didn't know anything prior. Yeah, I have not yet watched it, but I did see the AI controversy. And I think it was, I think it has merit. I think there, the controversy was not necessarily flimsy. I mean, it was small potatoes in runtime, from what I understand. Like I said, I haven't actually seen the movie, but it's one of those things that I can understand the need of, or I can understand wanting to tinker, and I can understand wanting to stretch the legs and try things out. But at the same time, this is a movie that clearly had an art department. It had costuming. It had set design. You had artists being paid to work. And even if you wanted to have something AI generated, I don't see why you couldn't pay them to do that. Maybe they did. Did we, Chet, feel free to chime in if you've heard, but as far as I know, the filmmakers had not actually chimed in. If they did chime in, and it was like, there's no reason that an artist couldn't use AI in an ethical fashion. That is to say, pooled from source material that is not that is consenting to be scraped and so forth. So I mean, the Adobe's AI, I forget what it was called now. I don't remember, but Adobe has within their Creative Suite an AI image generator that you can use, and it's supposedly based on sources that are completely on board with it. So it's not pulling from, scraping the entire internet to try and snag other artists' things that have no idea their style's being copied by machine learning. But yeah, I mean, if it was pulled from consenting sources and they paid their art department to do those AI generations and queries, then I think that perfectly fine. But, again, the ethicality of the source material that it's pulling from and the cutting artists out of the artistic process are the two moral lines that I personally draw. Everybody has their own lines. Those are mine. And if they met that criteria, then I'd have no issue with it whatsoever. But yeah, that's basically me saying, yeah, it's obviously tiny. And I've heard the joke that, you're not going to get replaced by AI. You're going to get replaced by the person that's doing AI. There's a distinction there. No, I don't think they've done too much in the way of, One thing that I do like, I will actually speak to this I wasn't expecting to, but I was kind of thinking that maybe I would touch on it. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity. So the last video that I uploaded on Rotted Mike had something that I had not yet seen before, which is you had to select whether the content was altered. And it gave kind of pretty distinct examples of that. And I know a lot of YouTubers are railing against it, but honestly, I like this. So if I were to do something like, take this door with the clothes hanging off of it right now, and I were to crop that out and tell Adobe that I want you to use your fill generation to put a nightlife scene in the background. That would be fine. If I were to manipulate existing like news footage or fabricate somebody, a known figure talking, or fabricate their voice saying things that they never did, that would be crossing the line. That would be altered content. And that's a huge, huge problem to me. And I think it's going to be a bigger problem down the line. And I actually like that YouTube is being proactive about this, because I think we're going to be seeing this a whole lot, especially in the next 7 months leading up to the November election. I think it's going to be huge. I think we're going to be seeing a whole lot of AI-generated, manipulated content, including video. And I think this is, it's a toggle and you can lie about it, but I think that that's kind of the point, is you can say that this wasn't altered or you can say that this was altered, and it's not going to affect, from what I understand, it's not going to affect anything. It's, if you say that it's altered, it's going to put a little notice at the bottom so that people will know that. But as far as I've read, it won't affect your viewing. It won't affect your, your standing on the front page. It won't affect your monetization. It just puts a notice. And the thing I like about that is if somebody actually does fabricate somebody, a candidate or something, saying something inflammatory that they never actually did, either it's going to say at the bottom that this was generated content, or they're not going to be in compliance and they can get the video removed. So they're just being proactive about it and giving themselves the standing so that they can act on terms of service in a way that is no longer an ambiguous infraction. It's a clear infraction. I like that. I think that's good. And I think that the examples they've given about what is allowed and what isn't, or what they consider to be altered and what they don't, I think it's good. It falls within my compliance. That's not to say that, just because I'm not affected doesn't mean everybody else won't be, but I think ultimately it's a step that's necessary. And even if it's a little heavy-handed, it can be kind of fine-tuned down the line, but it's a step that's necessary. Yeah. I don't, the people that are outraged by that, YouTubers that are railing against it, I don't stand with them. I'm not one of them. I can see the point of it. Shit, I think I forgot to answer that last question. Am I concerned about the mirror universe the plans mirror universe U has in motion? No. I mean, mirror universe me would clearly be just evil. But it's kind of based on the notion that the mirror universe can actually be brought into our universe, that the universes can collide and overlap to the point where physical bridging of actual individuals could happen. Somebody could walk through into our universe or away from theirs. I don't necessarily think that that's possible. So, Evil Mike, wherever you are out there, you keep being evil. You be you. Embrace it. Because chances are the entirety of the mirror universe, it's this whole other thing, and you're probably going to be, right at home there. You be you. Just stay over there. No bridges. Let me take a back look at the results here. Okay. So that last question before that I kind of drifted away from. How much time do you spend touching grass or spending time in nature? More and more lately. And hopefully more and more soon. So, not necessarily directly related to my weight loss, but I would say more directly related to my fitness journey, which has just really kind of started back in late October. I found myself way more energized and motivated, just generally. And with that has come aspirations of being in nature. I guess I've always had aspirations of being in nature, but now I actually have desire. I spent a lot of time in. I was a Boy Scout. I spent a lot of time in my youth hiking, camping, all that stuff. Tons of aquatic camping activities: canoe, kayak, catamaran, rowboat. We would go out to Fiesta Island in San Diego and do a whole lot of aquatic camping activities. And I haven't really been as in touch with nature by a long shot for a very long time now. And I want to get back to it. And I think that the difference is, although that desire has always been there, I've always wanted to get back to nature. Now I actually want, I've always wanted to want it. Now I actually want it. Now I actually want to, get the blisters and get out there and get the fresh air, bugs and all. I have them, not just the desire, but the motivation and the plans. And finally, the weather is letting up. We're getting some warmer days. Today was 65 and blue skies with white puffy clouds and wonderful. And I'm looking forward to more of those for so many reasons now. I want to run outside more, not just on the treadmill at the gym. I want to hike. I want to get a kayak and go out on the lake. I want to be a part of nature and really kind of experience it. I've been looking up trails that are nearby and, how long they take and what kind of elevation shifts there are and things like that. So, I mean, I'm very much planning a lot of this stuff now with the, very strong intent of actually doing it. I mean, I got new hiking boots down here. I got a pack that I just, got, the basics, compass, first aid kit, things like that. Nothing huge. I'm not going to do a 3-day trek up to the high Sierras, camp for a week, and then trek back down. I'm just going to walk a trail for 5 hours, stuff like that. Just kind of dip my toes in, but I want to, and I have plans to. So more and more lately, and it's exciting. It's nice. I feel more energized, more communal, and it's been interesting seeing the changes in me in so many different ways that I never really expected. It's not just clothes fitting better. It's not just like being weirded out because now I actually see veins on my arms and hands. It's deeper than that. It's been more beneficial than been way more beneficial than the superficial. I've just been in such a better place more consistently. And like I said, I think that, there's a portion of that that's related to weight loss, but I mean, I've been on the weight loss journey for, a year and a half, 2 years now. And I haven't really felt this big of a shift since I actually started really going through the paces with cardio, with calisthenics, with really working the lungs and the heart and getting my endurance up and my resting heart rate down. I have long been an advocate for losing weight in the kitchen. But the other side of that coin has always been, you lose weight in the kitchen, you gain fitness in the gym. And I'm a pretty staunch believer in that. I think there's some overlap, but for the most part, that's the kind of the grander view of the rule that really does work. But I think I put more focus on the former than the latter. And that may have been the wisest move. I mean, it may not have been the smartest thing for me to try to start running when I was 400 pounds. Maybe I needed to wait until I actually shed some, a good portion of the weight to actually get into the gym and do it in a way that was safe for my heart, for my body, for my legs, for my feet, all that. But now that I'm here and I've actually started to undergo this, the benefits have just been insane. And yeah, so me touching grass, me spending time in nature, more and more, bring it on. And it's way beyond just wanting to want it. It's that, it is happening and it's great. So, yeah. Next question. Why aren't you using Linux as your primary desktop operating system? And this is yet again year of Linux on the desktop. Games. Honestly, first and foremost, I'm a network and systems administrator, and within my team of network and systems administrators is a small team working for a small university in a small city in New York State. And our team has kind of a shared general knowledge. We don't operate as an island. None of us do. We very much have the principles in place of everybody has a shared resource of knowledge and nobody hoards anything, which is a rarity in the IT world. Maybe less and less these days. I hope less and less, because it was such a prevalent toxic aspect. And my camera just blipped. My microphone's still working, but my camera blipped. And there it is again. And we're back. And we zoom back in. That was neat. Don't know why that did that. Anywho, it was such a toxic aspect that was very prevalent when I was coming up in the computer and IT world, of hoarding data, hoarding knowledge, not letting anybody else use it, because if you're sitting on top of your mountain of knowledge, then you have value and you can't be gotten rid of. We don't operate that way. We share everything. That said, we also, each of us have our own specialties, and one of mine is the management of a lot of our Windows-based servers. I know Linux. I love Linux. And I think that Linux is a fantastic server operating system. I run servers at home, and I don't run a single Windows server. I run Linux servers. I only run Windows desktops. I think that of the two, Windows is the best operating system for desktops. Just with the amount of software that's available for it. And I know that we're getting to a weird point where software is kind of winding up in two camps. one is software as a service, and two, software as a service with web-based components, and two is open source. We're finding less and less platform-dependent commercial pay once you're done software. So this is becoming a little bit less of the same playing field. That said, I do a lot of gaming. And that alone really does kind of put me in one particular category. Let's see. Chet, I use Pop! OS on my System 76 laptop for as much as possible. I use a Mac for the things that don't work on Linux. I've started a podcast that I publish on YouTube, so I really need to learn to make video. I cannot recommend enough DaVinci Resolve. Up until very recently, the entirety of my channels were edited in Adobe Premiere. And I stuck to that. I had my templates, I had my workflows, I had my knowledge base. But one of the things I kind of wanted to do when I did the channel transition was really break out of my comfort zone. And I had dabbled in DaVinci Resolve. The fact that it was free was pretty sweet. But I never really learned it. I would kind of have it churn on a particular problem that I was trying to solve and go from there. And, it worked okay for things like that. But I never actually took the time to really dig into the guts and learn the entirety of a video editing workflow with it. And once I did, I was all in. It's such a big fundamental shift in editing and how it approaches things with its cut page and edit page differentials that I'll never go back. I can't use Adobe Premiere again. I went ahead and actually invested in the speed editor for DaVinci Resolve, and I've been utilizing this. And it's just been night and day difference, especially now that I'm recording multicam setups. So yeah, my recommendation is if you want to learn to make video, oh by God. And the fact that it is free and open and multi-platform, yeah, that's my recommendation. DaVinci Resolve, like hands down. But yeah, I run Windows desktops. It's just the best fit for what I do. We recently passed blah, blah, blah vlogs. When do you think you likely get to blah, 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 blah? Yeah. It's the end of the workday. I don't want to do math. But the simple answer to that is I don't know. I want to start doing vlogs more regularly again. I'm working on finding a balance of everything, as always. While at the same time, now that I have rotted mic, I feel more comfortable actually sharing parts of myself in ways that I didn't before. Anytime I had something that was kind of like, ooh, I want to talk about this, but it's not about horror movies. Like, well, shit, where do I put it? If I put it on the main channel, it's going to just harm the analytics. And every once in a while I would. And sometimes they would do really well. And it did harm the analytics. Like, well, fuck. But now, I'm really glad that I have the Rotted Mic channel because this is exactly what I wanted to put there is all this stuff. Me 3D printing the dice tower or talking about my trip to the dentist, or I have a video I want to make pretty soon coming up here. I have a load of seed starters that are sprouted for a vegetable garden, and I want to show off what I have planned for the vegetable garden once the weather gets more once I know that we're past the frost point. Then I'm going to start planting some of the seeds that I've had sprout and that I've germinated. And the planters that I've built, I'm actually really proud of because not only have I built them, I have like an irrigation system that's solar powered and does trickle things from a reservoir. So I don't have to like, bring a hose out every time. I just fill the reservoir and let it just churn slowly throughout the day using solar power to pump it out. And so, I mean, it's like each one is a contained unit. So the traditional vlogs that I've done, it's not that I'll never do them again. It's just that I really haven't been doing them. And, maybe I'll correct that. Maybe, I mean, it's also been, there's a certain portion of my life right now that feels like it's very repetitive and very purposefully so. I've been working out. I've been trying to adhere to proper eating. I've been working on the videos. That's my life. Rinse and repeat, one day after another. Which I'm fine talking about. Clearly. I'm making with the jib jab right now. But in terms of a weekly vlog, it just feels like every week is going to turn into the same thing. So I've been kind of, trying to give some thought to what that actually looks like anymore. So yeah, when am I going to do that number of vlogs? Maybe never. In the incarnation that I think that question originally came in, which was several months back. Yeah. But there will always be me talking about my life, just in a different fashion. Because, God help me, people seem interested in it. So, all right. Let's go ahead and answer one more, and that'll take us up to the hour mark, and that'll be a pretty good live stream there. We'll see if we can get some more people on board next time. I'll try to be doing these about once a month. How do you compose a photo? I know I answered this one. Yeah, so I'm going to be a little better about removing them as I go and saving as I go. I am not a photographer. I'm barely a videographer. How I like to compose photos is, I typically don't, the times that I have dabbled in photography, it's usually been nature photography. I don't really do too much macro. Sometimes I'll get a wild hair and, try it out. But I'll tend to follow the rule of thirds. I know that's a bit vanilla, but again, I'm not a photographer. I just dabble. So sticking with nature photography in a fairly basic fashion, going with the rule of thirds, and I usually try to off-center the focal point, or the subject of focus. So if I see something like a brook that I think is really pretty, I try not to center it. I try to push it off to the third left or the third right, and let the eye drift over to it. So yeah, I mean, that's typically how I compose my photos. So that was a quick answer. So let's get one more question in. Oh, happy birthday, chat. Sorry, my brain's fogging up on me. Remind me to add you to the calendar on Patreon if you're not already. All right. Who would be the stars of the romantic comedy made about your life? I've always thought that, I mean, this doesn't make sense considering that they're older than me. But I've always thought that John Goodman or Judd Nelson would be good choices to play me in a movie. I'm trying to think of who the other stars would be. I can't really say. I can compare myself to a lot of different actors, but my wife, she stands on her own. Who can compare to her. How could I possibly find an analog for the most wonderful, beautiful person on earth? I couldn't. I would be doing her a disservice. And I would be doing the actors a disservice by even trying. And with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and end this. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. And anybody that's watching this after the fact, thank you for your views, your support, your likes, and if you're not already, your subscribes. It would be really awesome if you can go ahead and click those buttons. And that's about the last time that I'll ever say that, hopefully. But I drifted into it anyway. Fuck me. Take care, everybody. Have a great one. Happy birthday again, chat. And hello, Samantha. So take care. I'll talk to you all soon.